An incredibly difficult book to read in many parts, actually, Nula. The Longest Farewell, about your husband, James, and his dementia. And it is about the fact, as much as there are lots of dark moments, but the book is about the fact that there is a beginning after the ending.
Yeah.
And you just felt compelled to write this for some reason. What was it that spurred you on?
I think I wrote it to stay close to James initially. It was my one way of holding on to him. Mm-hmm. And by writing about him, I could keep him close to me. And I think that was the main reason I started to write the book.
Of course. Well, as we say, you both were going through very difficult times. And I'll let you explain how you met.
Well, we met in the care home, actually, which is a very romantic place to meet. I'd met John's wife, Bonnie, long before I met John, and I got to know her. Her room was right next door to James. And neither of us were coping very well, and the care home manager one day suggested that we should have a lunch to talk. I had never actually met John in the home. We'd obviously always, appeared to miss each other. And she organised this lunch, and at the lunch, John started talking about how he wasn't coping, and his words just, reached me in a way that I thought, this is someone who knows exactly what I'm going through. We were spouses, not parents. Most of the care home patients were parents with elderly children. We were spouses with, younger spouses with our partners gone in dementia. So it was an incredible connection that he knew exactly what I was going through. And we emailed each other for about a year. And then we agreed to meet, and, we had a meal, and, we went to concerts and theatres and things like that. It wasn't an easy journey. We had many ups and downs. It was difficult having a friendship with someone when your husband was still alive and still breathing, even though you had no connection with him. Mm-hmm. It was really, really difficult relating to someone that had no past with me. Mm-hmm. James was my past, was my everything. Mm-hmm. But eventually, we had lots of ups and downs. We had a disastrous, dinner. Then we had a disastrous weekend in Vienna, and then we had an even more disastrous holiday. So between it all, at the end, we came through it all, and I lost James first, and then, Bonnie died, and then... Mm-hmm. And then we're here.
You're here. And John, you described a lot of this period as with the big G, the guilt.
Yes.
And a lot of people will understand that, obviously, because I guess you feel like you've found happiness again, and it's difficult to deal with in amongst tragedy and loss.
Yeah. Everyone who is involved with dementia, cares for someone with dementia, at some time feels guilt. And we used to call it the big G on your shoulder. If you start enjoying yourself, hang on a minute, I shouldn't be enjoying myself. I'm living with someone with dementia. But I had a very good Admiral nurse who advised me, and he said to me, you have to understand, what would they want for you if they knew? What would you want for them if it was the other way round? Who are you actually hurting by forming a new relationship? No one. And finally, if you don't get out there and get a life, then dementia's got you too. Two for the price of one. Don't let that happen. And one very good bit of advice I was given by an Admiral nurse was, here's how to deal with guilt. Get a very sharp knife, just cut along the front of your head here, open it up, reach inside, lift out the guilt, put it on a table, close your head and walk on by. And you know what? When you're in the grips of dementia, that's really good advice. Mm-hmm.
And there'll be a lot of people watching today in that exact moment, I'm sure, because it's headline making every single day, isn't it?
Every day.
Even just this week, Barbara Windsor and her husband Scott have been named as ambassadors for the Alzheimer's Society. You both clearly agree with that as well. More has to be done.
Well, but dementia is still the outcast of diseases, if you think about it. It's the one disease you tend to whisper, or you tend to hide, or you tend to not talk about it, because it's never ending. From the moment James was diagnosed in 2004, he took 10 years it was a 10-year journey. Well, by then people are fed up saying, how is he? There's no cure, there's no treatment, there's no support. There's nothing out there.
End-of-life care has to improve.
And end-of-life care doesn't exist. I mean, when James was dying, he was dying for a year, and I begged the GP to give him, something to help him to go, really. And he had this constant, infections that kept reoccurring, and the drugs were coming in from Germany, expensive drugs to cure the diarrhea, etc. But he would not give him anything to help him out, and that was the worst experience
painful.
of all.
Well, you've both been through a great deal, and thankfully did find each other. And here you are, very happily married, and you've decided to travel the world and to enjoy life as best you possibly can. Well, like we say, Nula, the book is called The Longest Farewell, and it's very difficult in parts to read, but a hugely honest account of what it's been like, and it's great to see you both.
Thank you,
very
Christine.
much.